So we're going under the car here, which will be kind of a challenge for me.
Why did I put 5/8 in there? It's only 9/16. It must have been what came with the door converter.
Ooh, did you hear that pop?
Yeah.
Here, I think I can get to it from under here.
Dude, like, the craziest thing is, like, a couple years ago, my back was really bad.
Yeah.
And I started just taking care of, like, watching how to work around shit, you know?
Yeah.
And little by little, like, it doesn't bug me that in my knee.
Are you taking the torque converter bolts out?
Yeah, so I can push that away.
I was gonna say.
What fucking size is in here? Jesus Christ.
I was gonna say it's pretty big. It looks like maybe like a 17. I don't know. I'm all about metric though. I know you're working on the older stuff, but that's way better. Is this 7/8?
It's 11/16.
Oh, okay.
Which, it must have been what came with the torque converter, because usually they're 9/16, but this is like a Chinesium jugs converter.
Yeah.
So I got like awkward bolts with it, I guess, but it's, I tell people, like, this is actually a really good torque converter for the money, because it's only like $110.
Yeah.
And it does its job. Which, the transmission that was in the car. Turn it over so that I can get the last two. And this is one of those tricks where, like...
Yeah, this is something I learned.
You avoid having to use the flywheel tool if you keep tightening it to spin it. And that way you end up with your two bolts down there. I don't know if you're filming.
Yeah, no, I'm filming.
But that way you end up in a good position to get the last one. Because I used to be a dumbass about it and just fucking have to turn it with a screwdriver or by the end of the crankshaft. On the balancer bolt, which is usually the way I would do it, because luckily with the Oldsmobile it's a 1 1/8 bolt, so it's massive. Okay. That's out. Oh yeah, my shims.
You mean washers?
Yeah, shims. Shims, washers. I use them for spacing because you can't bottom out the converter in the pump. So otherwise fluid won't pump out, but if it's too far away, it won't engage on the lugs, and that's no fun. And since I'm down here, I'm going to go ahead and do the pain in the ass oil filter adapter, which this kind of sucks on Oldsmobiles. This is probably the #1 thing that guys hate about headers on Oldsmobiles. That and the starter. Yeah, let's see the starter in a little bit.
I was gonna say the starter's over here on this side.
Yeah.
Nice little mini Summit one.
Dude, best thing I ever did, because
I'm surprised you don't have a blanket around it, or like it's pretty close to the. Huh?
Well, it's close, but it doesn't get hot. The problem is that the solenoid was getting hot because it's so close. So I put a remote, like a Ford style solenoid on it.
Oh, okay.
And bypassed it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I see that.
But, dude, yeah, this is like the quirk of running headers on this on this engine, because the headers are pretty much designed around the engine. And you're going to see when I get these out that I bashed them. And I think that's going to be one of the projects I do, is that I'm going to end up fixing the pipe and having my buddy bend up some pipe for me.
Yeah.
So that way I get rid of the areas I bent up, which, you know, doesn't hurt anything to have some dimples in the headers, but it kind of bugs the shit out of me. Come on. Fucking each. Yeah, and without, like, it doesn't look like it gets in the way, but if you don't take that out, you cannot get the headers out at all.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sure.
And
That's what a lot of people don't understand about being a mechanic is like seeing what needs to come out. People always think like, oh, all you gotta do is take off the header, but it's like, nope, you gotta do this.
I guess
this.
like this top one.
But like once you get better at like removing parts and knowing what needs to come out, like that's what makes you like, you know, truly the best. Oh, get some pink flame.
My dad painted this thing Chevy orange. I'm like, why did you do that? He's like, I don't like gold. I'm like, that's the original color of the engine. I'm like, well, I don't like gold.
I like gold.
So, because my dad essentially did a lot of the work on this car, and then after high school, I kind of took over. Mm-hmm. And then,
yeah, I remember that.
I
It
think
was at
my
like
dad-
that warehouse or whatever, right?
yeah, and then I think at some point, my dad had no real ambition to drive it. I think my dad just wanted to do it. And that's pretty much what he told me.
Yeah.
And when he retired, he kind of lost his storage there. And I kind of lost my shop privileges, which kind of sucked because I had a lift.
Yeah.
So, pretty much, it ended up here. It sat a lot. And then the last 2 years we've been driving it. I put fuel injection in it. Sagan drives it. I have the olds. I don't really like driving this car. It's like, it's kind of weird, but it's one of those moments where, like, you're kind of one with the car. To me, this is like a customer car.
Yeah.
It's not my car. The olds is the one where it's like...
Well, your car is like, you put so much, like, I remember when you had that thing in high school, like, you put a lot of freaking time in that car.
And, like, that's just the quirk of it. Like, you know... Dude, I'm curious how long it took me to remove this.
Well, so far the counter on the time is 5 minutes, 46 seconds, so.
Total from starting?
Well.
With the flywheel bolts?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, that's pretty impressive. That's how much faith I got in myself, guys. I've been working on cars for 15 years.
You're faster than you think you are.
Yeah. So, the next thing is going to be, I got this, that.
The next thing is going to be a neck pillow for me.
So I think the headers are going to come out next, but it's a fine dance because I have to loosen up the header to get the starter out before removing it. Otherwise, it's an epic battle of holding two things at once.
I see.
So I'm going to have to remove
You got
the
to just
headers.
loosen it.
All right. This is the one that sucks.
You'll learn with camera work, you want all the light you can get, or else you're not going to see shit. Is that in your way at all?
Not really. As long as it's not in your way.
No, yeah, this is fine.
Dude, gear wrenches are always a sound fucking investment.
Oh, yeah.
Like I tell people, dude. Especially for headers.
By the way, you're going to exercise my beep button pretty hard. You know that?
What? That's the best part of it. You have to edit it?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Can you add in there like some moves instead of like beep? Just add like a...
That would be funny. I could probably do that.
If you're going to edit me out, make it something funny.
Yeah, no, that's true. I didn't even think of that. It's just a little, like, pounded in corner on that one.
Well, I had to clear it so that I can get it past the frame, which I'm going to have to, again, rework these headers, but... Alright, we just got one bolt left.
Oh, yeah, I saw it move. So they come up from the top?
No, they go out from underneath.
Oh, yeah?
But yeah, obviously you can't get to them from under. And then you could probably film that from up there, but usually you have to like twist them and hope you got enough room. Because there we go. It was tight.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that sucks. Like how this is, this would be enough length for the headers and the cutlass, and they're like almost 10 inches longer at the collector.
Oh, yeah?
But it's the way that the frame hugs the body.
Yeah.
These almost have to literally drop down vertically. So, you can see where I smashed the end so that it would clear the body, and I also folded up the pinch weld where the floor pan is welded to the.
Oh yeah, I think I see
that. To the firewall.
That's that part right there.
I'm gonna shut up. Anything put away in bags. He's like, so you got a car that you got to put together for somebody else. You didn't take it apart. How do you know where the bolts go?
Right.
So he made me put a car together 3 times until I figured out how to put a car together that somebody took apart without bagging and tagging anything.
Yeah.
So it's just a visual, you know, plus I've worked on these cars for years, so I kind of know where all the bolts go. I know I can have a box full of engine bolts. I know on the Oldsmobile where every bolt goes.
Right.
So, again, one of those acquired things that you experience as you work on cars. And plus, they're pretty common fasteners, unless they're head bolts or something weird.
Yeah.
I have the power steering stuff in the way, so I'm just going to loosen up that power steering bracket that goes onto the head. I forgot about that.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, that one right there.
No, yeah, right here.
Yeah, I was trying to point at it, but I was like looking at my camera.
So.
Yeah.
Fucking hot. Yeah, it gets hot in here real fast, and then it gets cold fast too. And you get this huge concrete slab of ice.
Yeah.
So, are you recording now?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Blooper reel. Yeah, I try to just like record everything because like if you say something that's like, you know, really useful, then it's like I gotta ask you to say it again or something. So it's like I'm kind of taking the approach that I take with all my shoots.
Yeah.
Like it's like record everything, edit out what you don't need.
And the last time.
Mine your way.
No, that's a 3/8. It's a 3/8 16 thread, but they're generic header bolts, and for some reason I ended up with one that had a 3/8 head.
Oh, really?
And I just used it either way because it's like, okay, I usually have a 3/8 wrench handy, and of course I had it right there. So.
Yeah, I kind of started using my cell phone for everything because it like records probably just as good as that other camera. The only problem that sucks with it is getting video off of it. I have to upload it to Google Drive, and then I have to download it on my computer, and then I have to edit it. And it's not always like ready or uploaded to Google Photos. So I'm like, sometimes I just have to like wait like 2 hours. I'm like, damn it, this sucks.
Yeah.
I suppose I probably could get it off my phone with like a USB cable, but...
Well, Sagan does all that. I shouldn't even talk. Like, I just kind of know what she does. She's the one who uploads everything up to YouTube. And
that's awesome.
Because, like, I'm like Captain Caveman at the shop. Like, when we first got our new frame machine... Like, it uses, like Bluetooth to measure out the frames and everything, and you gotta, like...
Oh, it's got, like, sensors that wire to it and stuff.
And I loved our old frame machine because the targets were easy to set up, and it had a laser, so it was pretty foolproof.
Yeah.
Dude, it was, like, the worst 3 months of my life learning to use that frame machine, because it's like, I used to yell at my coworker, Ryan! I need a hand!
Yeah. I forgot how to do this again.
But now I got it, and it's like, dude, the beauty of that machine is, like... You could have a car on the frame machine, clamped on, measured, ready to pull in like 30 minutes versus like almost an hour and a half on the old machine.
I just noticed I like the pile of like red wires. Like, how do you deal with this?
Dude, okay, that pisses me off.
I was gonna say, and then this looks like it's melted in here, but it's not.
It's dielectric grease. It just.
I was like looking at it. I wasn't. Now I'm recording again.
But like, all right. So the history with this car is, this car was bought sometime in like the early '80s, right? My grandfather had it for a while, and then my uncle got it right away, and then my dad actually drove it for a year, and then it sat back under my uncle's carport until I was 10. Then my dad got it, and he got the fire in his ass to restore it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it originally had a Pontiac 400 in it. My uncle blew that up. And then my uncle put a Buick in it. Well, the wiring routing is totally different for the Buick than for the Pontiac.
Mm-hmm.
So these wires are kind of cobbled up because it was just a means to an end. And then I put an Oldsmobile in it. So another thing I'm going to be looking for is a harness for this car that's correct. That way I can... That's another one of them 3/8ers.
You said it only had one.
Yeah, I was wrong. But that's one of the things that this car has some family history, and I've always wanted to kind of do like a nut and bolt resto, and I guess this would be the car to do it with because I really don't want to buy another car. I don't have room for another car. The Olds is pretty much the drag car that is never going to be perfect because things constantly change. I need my 9/16 gear wrench.
Well, are you taking that one completely out?
That one has to come out. I'm going to leave the other bolt in the front there, which is far enough forward to...
Oh, there's another one in the front?
Yeah, you got 5 bolts.
Oh, okay.
So I left that one on because I forgot about this power steering bracket.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if my breath stinks. I had coffee. Now my mouth is dry.
No worries, dude. I love coffee, so it's not... I don't even notice it.
Okay. So now that's loose. Now I can go down there. And I think I do have 9/16 wrench. The car's still low for my fat ass to roll over. Alright, so this is the trick to putting the starter in and out on an Oldsmobile. You pretty much have to leave the front bolt on the header on. And actually, you know what? I need to go back up there because I'm going to need an extension. And the beauty of adding a remote solenoid is that, oh, that's one of the Metricones.
Metricones?
Yeah, it's one of them Chinese solenoids, so it's not exactly standard.
Yeah.
But But if you have like a remote mount solenoid like this, if you're not worried about originality, one, you get your solenoid out of heat. And if you're me, you went to like a 0 gauge wire because why not? You know, especially when it comes to a starter, if you got headers, it's less fire risk, less everything. So all the wires for the starter were disconnected up here. And then at that point, on my other starter, I have a weather pack style connector. So everything is disconnected underneath the hood. We can actually go look at that real fast because I got the car with the hood open. And I've made this mention before in other videos, but I'll do it again. So these fender liners on Oldsmobiles are plastic, so I use a 9/16 through bolt. And then this is my battery lead. This is for the alternator, which Power Master recommends you go to the shortest possible route. And then I got a positive cable, which in this case is black, but I know that it's positive, going down to the starter. And then I have a weather pack in here that I disconnect. And that's my start wire. So all I have to do is disconnect this up here, disconnect the wire. I don't have to connect any wires underneath the car. Nice. It goes right out.
Yeah.
So I think about that stuff when for future work because I hate having to work around stuff. So I'll get the starter out now. That whole rolling over thing again.
Yeah.
So I got that one. And I am kind of holding the header up with my arm for a reason. Because if the starter lets go, because I'm not holding it right,
everything's going to come down.
Everything's going to come down, so I'm holding it up a little bit. And this is where, there we go. You see, this starter is light enough to where I can
This is where we want that train wreck, remember?
Yeah.
The starter comes out and hits you in the head.
Dude, the transmission would be the train wreck, man. I've had transmissions fall off of jacks installing them so many times. Hey, I need those shims. And, like, dude, I've had them fall off the jack stand. Not the jack stand, it's a jack. I have an ATV jack that I used to put in the transmission.
Uh-huh.
And, oh, man, I got kitty litter all over. So, but, yeah. So now, all we got is the one bolt to remove, and this header's out. And then I can take off some of the bell housing bolts. And you want to take off the hard ones first, and then do the easy ones later, because you do the hard ones later, it's going to suck.
I'm going to sit down here if you don't mind.
Go for it, dude.
I was going to say, I think I can actually get it from down here.
either way, it's the last bolt. One thing about working on old cars, I don't like using power tools a lot.
Yeah.
Unless it's like an impact for like the wheels, I don't mind, but I like to do everything with hand tools. Not that it's preference.
Well, a ratchet wrench is like just as fast anyway.
So there we go. She came right out. And these headers aren't even for this car, they're for like an A body.
Yeah.
But nobody makes headers for the B body. But the small block headers will work. It should be interesting when we put the big block in there. But we'll get these out of the way, get the starter out of the way, keep our shims together. And then... So on this car, this has the 403 style engine mount, which I believe was almost the same mount used for the diesel 350s. I may be wrong, it's been a while, but this isn't your conventional style Oldsmobile engine mount, or like the saddle half. This one is kind of bulkier. It goes actually from the very back to the front. And usually...
On the side of the block, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually I don't like to take out the big bolt. I will actually
take out the two small
ones and lift it once I push it forward straight up. Just one of those things. But again,
so does that bolt come out of there?
This
it's
bolt,
like a stud, right?
It's a long bolt, the one you're looking at right here.
Yeah.
This
no, right. There's that one, but then you don't remove that one, right?
No, I remove this one here.
Oh, I see. No, you're on the wrong one. But yeah, I see what the one you wanted. Yeah, that one.
So, but actually, no, on this one, I'm not going to be able to. As much bullshit as I'm talking here, I'm not going to be able to because this is a different style.
That's what I was saying, because it's got a...
Yeah.
You got to, like, pull it back or something.
So I think this is actually the one... I think this is actually the engine mount they used for, like, the 350 Olds diesels that they put in Chevy trucks.
Yeah.
I think. I could be wrong. Somebody can correct me on that
one. It's probably way stronger that way.
But the reason for that is they made an engine mount so they wouldn't have to change the frame pads on the Chevy trucks when they went to the 350 Olds.
Uh-huh.
And I believe this is that style of engine mount.
Right.
At least the block half of it. But we did have a 403 in here that never ever ran because I took the intake off and my dad let that engine sit forever and it... I'm like, nope, we're going to put one of mine in there. That's a top bolt, actually. I want the middle bolt right here. Because this one is easier from down here. And I know I probably shouldn't say this, but there is a bolt missing on this corner. I don't know why, but I know that there's a reason for that. And I think it got stripped out. So I might have to either helicoil it or go to a metric size, which everybody hates. But you know what? If you go one up to a metric, it saves you the price of the helicoil and all the work. You just gotta drill it, get a tap, and you're done.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to stay in shape.
And we're gonna go drink a beer.
So, like my carburetor, I don't know if you ever saw the video.
No.
That's actually one of my more prouder moments. Sadly, it doesn't really get any views, but it's a pretty common issue with Hollies where guys will adjust the nozzles on the carburetor. They'll go up to sizes or down or whatever, and it's a really flimsy fine thread. It's like a weird thread. So it's really easy to strip out. Well, I was tight for cash. We were trying to race in like 2 weeks, and either repair method was going to cost me like $120. So what I did was I found a tapered seat bolt, I guess, from like a door latch from like a Mazda that fit the same contour as the nozzle, and it was one size slightly bigger than that threaded metric. So I drilled it, tapped it, clearanced it so fuel could flow through the channel, and I saved $100 and it cost me nothing.
Nice.
So it's like one of those things that people are like, well, if it works, I'm like, well, it actually works pretty damn good. It's one of those situations where in that situation, when it works, it works.
All right. I think I might be able to see this a little bit.
And that's the one thing. Like, this car is pretty damn clean. So my dad did a nice job of cleaning everything up because that's what he did for a living, and metal cleaning. But
everything is like really nicely coated.
So
like really nice. Like I remember on my Cougar, I just like couldn't get stuff clean enough. Where this thing is like, you could eat off this thing really. Maybe you might want to take off some of the dust, but dude, there's no grease or anything like that on here.
You know, I've learned to embrace the whole, like, dude, you know, some people value their car too much, and I get it. There's a place for that, right? If you got like a super rare car. But I like enjoying them, dude, and I'm not that person. It's like, dude, I'm not gonna go out of my way to park all the way at the back of the parking lot.
Yeah.
You know, I just. Gives me something else to do, but I guess if I had to pay like over $10,000 for body work, I'd probably be productive too.
Yeah.
So I kind of take it for granted a little bit.
Right. Like you're just used to that.
Oh my god, dude. I actually see the original blue on this block.
Yeah?
This block was blue at one point. There's a story on this engine too. There's a story on everything. I bought this engine back in like 2008. This engine was destined for the Cutlass, and there's a local racer who had this short block already built for a project that never happened. And he's like, if you want it $700, it's fresh, and then you can put your older heads and it'll bump up the compression, so you'll have like almost 9-to-1. And I'm like, cool. And this was the first engine in the car. And first time out at the track, it actually ran a 13. And he's like, he happened to be there that day at the track. And he's like, you're actually doing pretty good for like a know-nothing motor. So this motor has been quite the reliable power plant for both cars. All right, so now we got the two top bolts, which I will do when the car is back down. But I have to make sure, see, this is where I have to pick a plan, whether I'm going to take the engine out with the trans. I know I mentioned in the other video, I don't like doing it that way. But I'm considering it just because it's a little less time consuming. But it's a double-edged sword. You have to fight and balance, and he's filming. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the engine and then I'm remove the trans after, because I still have the lines down there connected to the trans.
For what, the cooler?
Yeah, which it just runs into the radiator, and this one doesn't have an independent one. But lucky for me, I upgraded to AN lines. So for anybody who is planning on doing any work, go AN fittings. You will love life. So it's a little, you know, even if you get the cheap Summit, Jegs brand, whatever, put AN fittings on your transmission. It makes life easier when you have to remove it. You don't have to worry about like a stupid flare and stripping the nut. They always get stuck, and I don't care how good you are. There is not one flare fitting that you will not fight after it's been installed for the first time. Second time around, you're going to strip it. Don't care. So, I think I'm going to loosen up the cross member bolts and the mount bolts. And I think I have to grab the right socket, because I know that I got 9/16 in the cross member, and I think the trans mount is 5/8. Grabbing 11/16 too, because sometimes my eyes can deceive me. So we'll do that, and the car will be ready to get lowered down. And I think I'm going to need my pee-pee pen, because the lines are probably going to leak fluid.
Oh.
Right now, the way it's in there is good enough, but I have to actually put mounting flanges on it, and I have to get this thing blasted too, so it's not greasy. But for now, this works, and then this was a means to an end situation. But when I do the framework to this car, which will probably be later this month, I think I may have said in the other video I wasn't going to do it, but then I decided to do it when I was down here. I don't know if you're probably not going to be able to see it in the video, but there's a crack here on the top half of the frame. And that was because my dad moved the frame with the engine, and he had it on a forklift. And guess where he was holding it? Right in the middle. It stretched and broke.
Oh, wow.
And we just put the car back on it, and we're like, oh, well, you know, it's just going to be a cruiser. We didn't make much of it. And it hasn't gotten any worse. But with the possibility of putting a big block in there,
that's going to change that.
That's going to change that. So I'm going to box the frame, which should make for some pretty good videos too, because I'm probably going to have my buddy I'm gonna hand over welding duties to my buddy Ryan, who's like my right hand man whenever it comes to big projects. Him and I known each other since 2nd grade, and we usually complement our work pretty good. So, and by compliment I mean like we complement each other. We both have our strong points, and we use that to our advantage whenever we get together. So I gotta undo these. Oh, crap! Did I leave the wrenches on your side, Kevin?
Yeah, they're all over here.
Should I have not said your name? Like,
I don't give a shit.
you know, there's people out there. Like, I don't care if people. You know, most people can't spell my name, so I'm not worried.
I was gonna say I can't see anything on that side, but I think it's alright.